This is Mark Taylor-Canfield, and this is the MTC Report.
Working families like our nurses and firefighters, our healthcare workers, our building trades and longshore workers. There's a rumor there's labor in the house, but a truly secret weapon. Folks up here, folks out there. We had the best grassroots campaign of any mayor campaign ever. At the end of the day, we contacted over 100,000 voters. Yeah. It wasn't about me or anyone else. It was about you. It was about Seattle and the future of Seattle. It's a campaign about what Seattle will be like for that next generation. You have committed to making it the best Seattle ever.
Also one on behalf of Mark Taylor-Canfield, a journalist from Seattle. So, how can public funds be used to finance investigative journalism without creating conflict of interest? It's a very good question.
Yeah, very good one. Is one of my questions that, for example, in Hungary, we have a lot of public funding for media. The question is not if the money is there, but how to make it independent and working well.
Welcome to the MTC Report, the news behind the news with journalist Mark Taylor-Canfield. We offer you independent voices and underreported stories about topics you won't hear anywhere else. Join us as we delve into the deeper issues behind the news stories of the day on the MTC Report.
This is Mark Taylor-Canfield. I'm a journalist. I write at the Capitol Hill Times, and I also appear regularly on the Jeff Santos Show, broadcasting from Boston.
And I have a couple gentlemen I'd like to interview here. So, as I was saying earlier, what it's like to follow the money in an election campaign. So, eventually you're going to see what follows the money. It's the media. So in this room are the people with the money, following the money, and they want the money to follow them and their businesses. That's who voted for Jenny Durkan, even though I love her. This is what establishment money looks like in Seattle, even though the candidate is very progressive. But later we're going to check out Terry Moon's campaign and see if there's a difference. This is Mark Taylor-Canfield reporting for the MTC Report at the Westin Hotel.
This is Mark Taylor-Canfield, and I'm reporting from downtown Seattle, where anti-fascist protesters have taken to the streets. This is part of a nationwide protest against fascism and the Trump administration. So far in Seattle, it's been relatively peaceful. There was a minor confrontation with a couple Trump supporters earlier today, but other than that, it's been peaceful. And this is happening all over the country, and in downtown Seattle, people have been marching from City Hall. That's been going on since noon, and this is what it looks like. There's a large police presence, as you can see. We are feeling really, really good about where we are. Woo! And I think you guys should celebrate. In fact, I have a pretty good authority, maybe some of you already have been.
the last woman mayor. Yeah! 92 years later, Seattle's about to have another woman mayor. Bertha Knight Landis, she's in a conference room. She was the first woman mayor and the first woman ever to lead a big American city. And she did it in 1926, not too long after women got the right to vote. Now, at the time, the newspapers here, they talked about Bertha and described her as this: a plain, unassuming, church-going woman. That's kind of like what they call me. Last week, I was in South Seattle at the Senior Center, and I met a woman named Jewel, who's 94 years old. So she was alive when Bertha was mayor. Oh my. She's lived in this city for decades. She's lived almost 2 lives. But today, Jewel can barely get by. I sat and talked to her, and after she pays her rent and her expenses, she only has a few $100s left. And she talked to me about how hard it was, but how much she really had faith in Seattle. So I want to tell you, Jewel, if you're watching this, help is on the way. That glass ceiling. And when we had the year of the woman, you know, they gave us a year. I remember going to a conference and someone said, you know, the first people through that glass ceiling, they get cut. Well, did you notice they named this big drill after Bertha? 94 years later, it was all Bertha's fault when it didn't happen. Can you imagine what they're going to blame on me now? I will be honest, running for office is not for the meek. No. But my mom, Wally Durkan, she did not raise her 8 children to be meek. That's right. She raised us to be fierce and gentle. That's right. And I tell you, everywhere I went in this campaign, I knew that is Seattle. Because we stand fiercely for what we believe in. So when we see our neighbors hurting, we will also be gentle. Because that's the kind of future that we will build together for Seattle. Fierce and gentle. Yes. And so in this time of Trump, we're going to be fierce. Yes! And for our neighbors in need, are we going to be gentle? Yes! And we have a lot of people hurting now in the city. If we pull together, we can tackle those challenges. We can build that better future, that better Seattle for the next generation. Now, the other thing that Mayor Landis is quoted as saying is she thought Seattle is not really a city, but it's really only a larger home. So that's how we have to think of Seattle. We have to build it as a place where everyone has a home. A place where people are united, where people know they have a place, where we are a city that will be equitable and inclusive, and where every person, regardless of their race, their gender, their faith, their economic status, there is a place for to heal those wounds and get back to Seattle.
Next question there.
One on behalf of Mark Taylor-Canfield, a journalist from Seattle.
This is Mark Taylor-Canfield, and I'm at the Westin Hotel, where the Jenny Durkan for Mayor campaign party is taking place. And as you can see, this is where the money is in Seattle.
Don't go anywhere. The MTC report with Mark Taylor-Canfield continues next.
Another election, another convention, another media intervention, another reason, another season to vote for Bertha.
is the MTC Report, the news behind the news with journalist Mark Taylor-Canfield.
We can have a world-class healthcare system without waiting lines.
So let's face it, you won't get straight talk like this many places in the United States. The corporate media is owned by a handful of corporations who are entertainment mega media corporations. So their main motivation is to create profit. Freedom of the press is something that's very important and needs to be supported in the United States. But I just wanted to be honest about, what's going on in this country. And if you talk to folks in other parts of the world who have more functioning democracies, they're very skeptical. Our stance in the nation, our status as a country in the international community has suffered after the election of Donald Trump because of some of the statements he's made, which are less than diplomatic.
This is the MTC Report, the news behind the news with journalist Mark Taylor-Canfield.
I've been criticized.
Now here's a place you always need a lot of friends.